りおしまい。
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Get the Mic, the only show where your host on the left, Owl,
And your host on the right, Brock.
dissect fiction for its mythological significance. On this episode, we're talking about Dragon Ball as usual, and in particular, episode 118, Prelude to Vengeance, or Tenshinhan's Resolve. Now, we'll get into some of the reasons for those titles, shortly. But before we get started, if you like what you hear, please give us a like, subscribe to our channel. We upload new episodes Mondays and Thursdays to YouTube, Tuesdays and Fridays to Rumble, so please check us out on those platforms. Anything else before we start?
No.
All right, so without further ado, here we go. So Piccolo broadcasts the announcement of a new holiday, Piccolo Day, May 9th. Once a year, he will destroy one of the 43 sectors of the world, randomly chosen in a lottery. People around the world watch in terror, including Chi-Chi and the Ox King. Ox explains that nobody, including Goku, has the ability to stand up to Piccolo. Chi-Chi, however, is not convinced. Meanwhile, on Karin's tower, Yajirobe watches Goku fly away on the Nimbus cloud. When Korin tells the Yaj that the world will be doomed if Goku fails, Yajirobe decides to leave the tower in search of his own definition of food. Korin reminds him that he would need to have a pure heart to ride a Nimbus, but Yajirobe arrogantly plunges down, falling through the Great Cloud. He crashes to the ground next to Upa and Bora before telling them that Goku has gone to fight Piccolo. So there's several things here. I kind of got ahead of myself in the last episode because I started talking about Piccolo Day a little early, but this is kind of why it has to happen now. Like, someone has to stand up to Piccolo now, or the spirit of humanity itself will be depreciated beyond, let's say, reasonable repair, something like that. Because the reason Piccolo does this is because he wishes to instill terror and fear for everyone on the planet. And he even makes the joke that they might even live for 43 more years. But I'll go ahead and let you go.
Well, that's the thing about Ox King being part of this segment as well, right? Because we saw that Ox King's kingdom was on fire and went through the process of subordinating himself to the Roshi and created order out of the chaos of society. And so if it weren't for Piccolo, there could be a figure like Ox King to come in and create order out of the chaos that society has sort of been broken out into, a reestablishment of justice or a reestablishment of order. Now,
Sure, yeah.
Piccolo's presence and saying that he'll kill anyone who does that is stopping that process from being able to happen, and that's why the Ox King says nobody can do this, right? But
Mm-hmm.
Chi-Chi, of course, sees the hero in Goku from the very beginning.
And so she knows that if anyone could do it, it's Goku.
And she believes that Goku could do it.
Yes. But right, so he chooses one at random and then blasts them, but each year everyone will have to live in fear that their sector might be next. And that's the whole reason why he does it. In fact, I think he tells Piano or someone, they ask him, like, why don't you just blow up the whole world? And he's like, because I want to see their fear one at a time as I destroy them. And that's the coachman, right? To consume and to gleefully take part in that destruction of the individual.
Yeah.
And the destruction of the
just thinking of the big
spirit.
grin.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's basically what Piccolo illustrates here. And then we do see Ox King, and I like what you were saying about Ox, understanding the process, but knowing that that's not going to be possible with Piccolo operating as an idea as he is. He's invulnerable to the physical manifestations that we've seen so far.
Yes.
And so we go back to Korin's tower. Goku's left, and Yajirobe is the one that wants to now ride the Nimbus Cloud, but he can't. But he thinks he can. And it's interesting because we've made this parallel with Yajirobe and, let's say, Proto Goku for a while now.
Yeah.
So why can't he ride the Nimbus?
Yajirobe is dragged down by his gluttony and his indulgence, his slavishness to his desires. And he looks at Korin and he tells him, oh, you must be a bad judge of character because my heart is as pure as the blue sky. And by his own interpretation, he is, except there's a problem in that he never went above that baseline like Goku did to become transpersonal, to start establishing relationships.
He never walked with God. He never took Turtle to the beach.
Yes.
Right?
So
that's the necessary
doing all of this to serve himself.
And that is to say that if Goku didn't do that, he shouldn't have been able to ride.
It means that he would have refused the call.
Yeah. And then we wouldn't have a show, so we wouldn't be talking about it.
But that's the reason, right? Because the hero can ride the Nimbus. The hero can be on the path.
Yes.
Whereas refusing the call and serving yourself like Yajirobe does not allow him to. And it's funny, the interaction he has with Korin here where he tells Korin he's going to leave because he needs to get food. Korin tells him, you can have as many senzu beans as you like. And he says, as if the real reason to eat food, or as if my reason for eating food is to fill my stomach.
Yeah.
And Korin says, oh, is that so? Right. And that's the thing, is that he does not understand that the wisdom that you gain from being able to get the senzu beans normally is that
exact idea.
That what is necessary is that you fill your stomach, and that the body is a slave to a higher ideal.
And
right?
you shouldn't be
not the other way around.
You shouldn't be lusting after gourmet food.
Yeah, it's about not being a slave to your body, but instead putting your body in a slave to your a slave to your mind. Right?
Yes, that's a good
and,
way.
And Yajirobe
well, I wouldn't say a slave.
Oh, I don't want to say slave,
harmonious,
but gaining control, like putting it into a balance so that it's not controlling.
But it's not a tyrannical control of the stomach over the rest of the body like Yajirobe seems to be.
Exactly. And so Yajirobe's desire ultimately is what drags him down so that he can't stand on it. It almost looks for a second like he could, and it rejects him immediately.
Yes. And then he does tell Upa and Bora that Goku's gone to fight Piccolo, and they all kind of look up into the sky. That happens sometimes in this show.
Everyone just looks off
Goku
upward at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah. Just there you go. They can
as if they could see where he went.
They can all sense ki too. Okay, so then, and I think we're ready to move on from there.
Yeah.
Then we see, upon hearing Piccolo's broadcast, Tien races at full speed towards his location. Remember, we established last episode that his intention is to give the ultimate sacrifice to banish Piccolo away. And Piccolo draws from the lottery, picking the number 9 and declaring that he will soon destroy Metro West. Bulma calls out to Tien on the radio, pleading for him to save her parents. Down on the streets, the city erupts into chaos as people attempt to flee. Bulma's parents realize that they are also in danger and rush to gather the animals of the garden. When Bulma's mother finds Tama, Dr. Brief's cat, I think it's Scratch in the English, he remembers that he hasn't watered the plants, so they hurry to do so. So it's the blind mother can't see the danger coming, right? Like and that's the thing with Bulma's parents is they're such instantiations of those parental spirits that of course they're gonna and that's the thing. That's why it's not just a gag. They've been set up this way, and it means something for them to not take this seriously.
Well, there's something ultimately self-sacrificing a way that in the way that Bulma's parents are, and they do everything for Bulma, and that's why she's kind of spoiled.
Yeah, definitely.
And they always just
she's
think
also
about
an
Bulma.
only child.
Yeah. And then also and this is the garden, and it's like it's a like sight gag of making a little ark and gathering all the animals into it to get them away from the flood here.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting that Dr. Briefs is running around and he's trying to figure out, or trying to get all the things together while Bulma's mother is running around trying to find Scratch, the cat, right? And the cat is always on his shoulder, but not right now. And she has to find it for him, and then he's like, without it, because he hasn't found the cat. It's sort of it feels like a joke to me because the cat relates to him in the same way that we've talked about.
Yes.
Poir relating to Yamcha, for instance. The cat is sort of a piece of his unconscious, that reminder of what's important, right? And so he's not.
But he's more integrated than these others. Like, he doesn't have a pig man talking to him constantly.
It's just a small thing, right?
Yeah.
But
he needs
the reason is that
he needs
the plants are also his life that he wants to preserve, right? Yeah. And so it's sort of like a tiny short-sightedness on his part that's represented by him not having the cat there with him on the shoulder.
Well, and the value too that he's placing on preserving the garden, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all of that's shown. That's the reason why, is because they are not self-centered people. They are archetypically, let's say, benefactorial parents.
Philanthropic type.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. And so it's not just a joke that they don't even realize that it's Metro City, because the first thing they say is, thank goodness Bulma's not there. And it's like, how could you ask for better parents? Anyways,
exactly.
I think
it is great though, that specifically for Bulma's parents to have those character traits,
It has to be, because the archetypal female needs to be nurtured correctly by society, or else she's not going to end up like Bulma, a force for good, let's say.
Right. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it.
Yeah, me too.
But a quick little segment.
But her parents are great. I love them. Dr. Brief.
Yes.
Legendary. Anyways, yes. Oops. So, the last thing we see here is back at Kame House. A trio of released convicts show up to rob the Go crew. It doesn't work out, but Oolong is demoralized by the incident extremely. Tien arrives at King Furry's castle just in time to catch King Piccolo on his way to blow up the Metro West. Seeing that Tien is a martial artist, Piccolo decides to indulge him in a fight to dissuade other martial artists from following suit. And just as Tien is about to be in range for his Mothaba, Piccolo births a new demon right in front of him. Wow. Naming it Drum. Drum towers over Tien as Goku continues to travel this way on the Nimbus. And we actually see, like, Goku can, like, see the skyline as we, like, kind of close out this episode, which is weird because it takes him a whole nother episode. But anyways, so first let's talk about the convicts. So this is to show, right, that not even Kame House is safe, especially, and I like that the fact that they moved Kame House because of this reason. It really establishes what we've been saying about this being a post-paternal world where the evils of it are laid bare and are just out in the open for anyone to indulge in.
Yeah, Kame House isn't a safe space
and
anymore.
it's not a safe space, and that's really what it shows. And so they try to rob him, and like Yamcha and Launch beat them up, right? But they even talk about how the world's better now, how they can do whatever they want, how might makes right. Let's say,
Yeah, they're talking about now that Piccolo has made it legal for us to be the way that we are. Now that it's legal,
it's legal. Yeah, we're
it's
legal.
technically legal. Now might does make right, and that is a valid moral framework in Piccolo's world,
Yeah. Yes, and
where
so,
anyone can do whatever they want.
right, and so they, as in Yamcha and Launch, dispatch them, obviously. And Oolong says something like, "The whole world's going crazy. This is terrible." Like, I don't even remember what does he say specifically.
I don't.
I might even pull it up.
He just gets completely defeated, collapses to the floor, and holds his head in his hands.
Yes,
And
yes,
says, "The whole world's gone crazy. There's nothing we can do anymore." Essentially, just gives up. And it's interesting because we also get a shot of Bulma looking back at him and just looking. Normally, he gets smacked for saying stuff like that. Generally, Launch like punches him whenever he's being a doomer.
yeah.
But now no one disagrees with him because this has demoralized the party a little bit by seeing that
It can reach them, even them. It's
That-
reached everyone.
that Roshi's house without him here now is not a sacred space.
It's hopeless. The world's gone mad. He's like clutching his head. Goku and everyone else is dead, he says. Yeah. And there's no guarantee that Tien will succeed. Yeah, it's real doomer. We're getting real gloomer. And this is when Yamcha decides that he has to do something.
Except he can't.
Except he can't. He is a cripple. So, right. So that Oolong demoralization's a big part of it. And then we see kind of the confrontation between Tien and Piccolo. Now,
There's not a lot to say about this. They don't exchange many words, and a lot of it's Tien just being boastful and saying, "Oh, let's see how you like it when I turn the tides on you." Ooh.
but his choice to stay, Piccolo's choice to stay, and seeing this as a demoralizing moment,
right.
is seeing that black dot in the white paisley, this chaotic, orderly martial artist, right? And he's like, I can use this to make
More chaos.
more demoralization. And,
Yeah.
and show anyone to stand up to me, because that's what he was saying too in the TV, right? Like anyone that tries to fight on the behalf of justice will die to my hand.
And so he has to make an example out of Tien to
He's the first one to rise up, right?
Yeah, to dissuade others from coming after him.
Yes. And so what Piccolo does instead is he decides to try and demoralize him even more by not fighting him and have his spawn fight him.
Yeah, my newborn baby is going to crush you.
And he does. We'll get to that, though. And so that's all set up for Tien's sacrifice and Goku's eventual arrival. So we'll see how that happens. Anything else to say?
No, I don't think that Tin Shinhan's resolve is a very good name for this episode because we don't really see it. We see he shows up and he still is going to do it, and then he starts to do it.
He's still going to do it, and then he's about to do it. I think Prelude to Vengeance is better. Some of the English ones are better.
Yeah, and this episode is pretty much a prelude.
The next episode has the worst names of any, so we'll get to that. But if you liked what you heard, please give us a like. Subscribe to our channel with that red subscribe button. What am I even saying? New episodes come out Mondays and Thursdays on YouTube and on Rumble Tuesdays and Fridays. So check us out on both of those platforms. We'll love to see you there. I'm your host on the left, Owl.
I'm your host on the right, Brock.
And we hope you guys have a good night.